Welcome to today's podcast.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us.
Today we'll explore these key vocabularies in depth: almond, artichoke, bean sprouts, beet, beetroot, and braise, with detailed definitions and rich examples to help you understand their usage. Almond, noun, an almond is an edible seed with a mild, nutty flavor, often used in sweet and savory dishes.
She sprinkled toasted almond slivers over her oatmeal to add a satisfying crunch and hint of nuttiness.
He blended soaked almond into plant-based milk, creating a smooth, dairy-free beverage rich in protein.
They folded chopped almond into cookie dough, ensuring every bite contained a delightful nutty texture.
She garnished the salad with sliced almond and dried cranberries for a contrast of crunchy and chewy elements.
He ground blanched almond into fine flour to make tender, gluten-free pastries with a delicate crumb.
She drizzled honey-roasted almond pieces atop vanilla ice cream for a sweet, crunchy topping.
He carried a handful of raw almond in his bag as a quick, nutritious snack between meetings.
She stirred almond butter and chopped almond into her smoothie bowl for extra healthy fats and texture.
They dusted powdered almond over the cake frosting to enhance flavor and add visual appeal.
She mixed sliced almond with rice pilaf before serving at the dinner party for an elegant touch.
He toasted cinnamon sugar almond on a sheet pan, filling the kitchen with a warm, spicy aroma.
She crafted a marzipan heart from ground almond and sugar, shaping it into a festive decoration.
He folded chopped almond into homemade granola, baking until golden and fragrant throughout.
She simmered whole almond in syrup to create candied nuts perfect for holiday gifting.
He used almond flour to bind gluten-free meatloaf, adding moisture and a subtle nutty note.
She sprinkled coarse almond crumbs on top of macaroni and cheese for a crunchy contrast.
He mixed savory herbs into a crust made from crushed almond and breadcrumbs for his quiche.
She dusted cake layers with toasted almond before stacking them, boosting both taste and texture.
He pressed sliced almond into cookie edges before baking to create an eye-catching border.
She stirred vanilla extract and slivered almond into the batter to intensify both aroma and crunch. Artichoke, noun, an artichoke is a thistle-like vegetable whose tender leaves and heart are prized for their delicate flavor.
She steamed whole artichoke until the base yielded easily to a fork, revealing its tender heart beneath the leaves.
He dipped the leaf of an artichoke into garlic butter sauce, savoring the mild, nutty flavor of each bite.
They marinated canned artichoke hearts in olive oil and herbs, then tossed them into their favorite pasta salad.
She roasted halved artichoke with lemon and thyme, crisping the edges while keeping the interior tender.
He blended cooked artichoke into a smooth dip, pairing it with crisp vegetables for a light appetizer.
She layered thin artichoke slices on pizza, adding briny complexity to each cheesy slice.
He stuffed whole artichoke with garlic bread crumb mixture before baking until golden and fragrant.
She grilled marinated artichoke halves over charcoal to intensify their earthy, smoky essence.
He tossed chopped artichoke into risotto, stirring until the rice absorbed the vegetable's subtle tang.
She pureed leftover artichoke in a creamy soup spiked with Parmesan for luxuriously smooth texture.
He wrapped fresh artichoke leaves in foil with butter and garlic for a quick, flavorful steam pack.
She added pickled artichoke stems to her sandwich for a tangy crunch that cut through rich toppings.
He layered artichoke hearts in a savory tart, combining them with spinach and feta for depth of flavor.
She folded canned artichoke into her omelet, infusing each egg bite with a subtle vegetal sweetness.
He pickled stray artichoke leaves with peppercorns for a zesty garnish on charcuterie boards.
She served artichoke hearts drizzled with pesto, marrying herbal notes with the vegetable's mildness.
He blended artichoke into vegan mayonnaise to create a tangy sandwich spread with depth.
She combined grilled artichoke with sweet bell peppers for a vibrant, textured antipasto.
He stirred chopped artichoke into his grain bowl, mixing textures of tender hearts and hearty rice.
She arranged thin ribbons of artichoke in a citrus salad, letting acidity balance the mellow flavor.
He enjoyed a simple snack of steamed artichoke, with a sprinkle of sea salt to highlight its natural taste.
Bean sprouts. Noun, plural. Bean sprouts are the tender shoots of mung beans, prized for their crisp texture and mild flavor.
She tossed fresh bean sprouts into her stir-fry at the last minute to preserve their bright crunch.
He layered bean sprouts in his banh mi for an extra burst of texture and freshness in each bite.
They garnished the steaming bowl of pho with raw bean sprouts to cool and enhance the rich broth.
She quickly wilted bean sprouts in sesame oil and garlic for a simple, savory side dish.
He stirred bean sprouts into fried rice just before serving, keeping them crisp and vibrant.
She soaked bean sprouts in ice water, then drained them for a refreshing addition to her salad.
He folded bean sprouts into his spring rolls, balancing the soft rice wrapper with the snappy center.
She sprinkled toasted sesame seeds over seasoned bean sprouts to layer in nutty flavor.
He mixed shredded cabbage and bean sprouts for a zesty, crunchy slaw.
She steamed bean sprouts lightly, then dressed them with rice vinegar and chili flakes.
He garnished his bibimbap with a handful of blanched bean sprouts to add crispness to the rice.
She blended raw bean sprouts into her green smoothie for an extra dose of vitamins.
He sautéed bean sprouts with shiitake mushrooms to complement their tender chewiness.
She added bean sprouts to her miso soup, stirring them in at the very end for texture.
He pickled bean sprouts with garlic and ginger for a tangy condiment.
She paired bean sprouts with avocado and lettuce wraps for a fresh, light lunch.
He folded bean sprouts into chicken salad, brightening the creamy mixture with crispness.
She wrapped cold bean sprouts in rice paper with fresh herbs for spring rolls.
He drizzled soy lime dressing over bean sprouts for an easy, flavorful side.
She served blanched bean sprouts tossed in chili oil as a spicy, crunchy snack. Beat, verb, to beat, means to stir vigorously, to defeat in competition, or to strike repeatedly to create rhythm.
She used an electric mixer to beat cream until it formed stiff peaks for the dessert topping.
He managed to beat his own high score on the video game after weeks of practice.
They placed drumsticks in hand and began to beat a steady tempo on the snare drum.
She beat eggs and sugar together to create a light, airy cake batter before baking.
He could not beat the rising heat during his marathon through the desert trail.
She tapped her fingers to beat, along with the catchy pop song playing in the cafe.
They beat the dust from the old rug by shaking and thrashing it outdoors.
He vowed to beat the conference speaker in delivering the most engaging presentation.
She continued to beat the sauce over low heat until it thickened and developed rich flavor.
He heard the rain beat rhythmically against the window all night long.
She would beat the butter and sugar together by hand for a rustic cookie texture.
He aimed to beat his rival in the upcoming chess tournament using a new strategy.
They beat their wings in unison to lift off from the water's surface.
She had to beat the clock to finish her project before the deadline.
He could hear his heart beat faster as he approached the stage for his speech.
She liked to beat rice in a mortar and pestle to create sticky rice for sushi.
He promised he would beat that level once more to prove his mastery.
She would beat the coffee grounds gently for a fine, even texture before brewing.
They beat the eggs vigorously to ensure the omelet would be fluffy and light.
He heard the thunder beat against the roof, echoing through the silent night. Beetroot, noun, beetroot, is the deep red root of the beet plant, celebrated for its earthy sweetness and vibrant color.
She roasted whole beetroot with olive oil until the edges caramelized and the flavor deepened.
He juiced raw beetroot with apples for a bright, antioxidant-rich morning tonic.
They grated fresh beetroot into a salad, infusing it with crunchy earth-tinged sweetness.
She blended cooked beetroot into hummus to achieve a vivid pink color and subtle earthiness.
He added diced beetroot to vegetable stew, letting it soften and enrich the broth.
She pickled sliced beetroot in vinegar and spices to serve alongside cheeses.
They layered thin beetroot ribbons in a carpaccio dish, drizzling them with citrus oil.
She stirred beetroot puree into her pancake batter for a festive twist on brunch.
He turned leftover beetroot into a creamy soup with yogurt and dill garnishes.
They roasted baby beetroot, whole with garlic cloves to serve as an elegant side.
She mixed beetroot chunks with quinoa and herbs for a colorful grain bowl.
He fermented shredded beetroot for a tangy, probiotic-rich addition to his meals.
They baked a chocolate beetroot cake to add moisture and a hint of earthiness to the dessert.
She served pan-seared beetroot slices over goat cheese crostini at the party.
He drizzled pickled beetroot juice over roasted fish for a pop of color and tang.
She folded shredded raw beetroot into coleslaw for a vibrant, crunchy salad.
He blended beetroot into his ranch dressing for a pink hue and subtle flavor twist.
She topped grilled vegetables with warm beetroot relish to complement their smoky notes.
He stirred diced beetroot into risotto near the end for bursts of color and flavor.
She served chilled beetroot gazpacho as a refreshing starter on a hot day. Braise, verb, to braise, means to cook food slowly in a small amount of liquid after initial browning, resulting in tender texture and deep flavor.
She chose to braise the beef short ribs in red wine until the meat fell apart at the touch of a fork.
He decided to braise lamb shanks with garlic and rosemary, infusing them with savory aromas.
They opted to braise cabbage wedges in butter and broth until the layers melded softly.
She plans to braise pork shoulder overnight for succulent pulled pork sandwiches.
He prefers to braise chicken thighs after searing to lock in juices and color.
She taught her apprentice to braise duck legs and stock for a silky sauce.
He will braise artichoke hearts gently in seasoned water to tenderize them.
They like to braise mushrooms in white wine and shallots to deepen umami.
She opts to braise celery root with leeks and thyme for a fragrant side.
He chose to braise brisket in dark beer to add malty richness to the meat.
She recommends to braise short grain rice in broth for risotto-like creaminess.
They demonstrated how to braise lentils with spices for a hearty vegan dish.
She showed how to braise duck legs until the fat rendered and the meat turned tender.
He suggested to braise ribs in cola and spices for a sweet, tangy barbecue twist.
She enjoys to braise fennel bulbs until they caramelize slightly and become sweet.
They choose to braise chickpeas with tomato gravy for a comforting stew.
She often braised zucchini with garlic until it collapses into a soft, flavorful base.
He demonstrated to braise baby carrots in orange juice and butter for a glossy finish.
She taught to braise cabbage leaves to wrap fillings without tearing.
They advised always to let the dish rest after braise so flavors fully meld. That concludes our detailed journey through 6 essential words, each brought to life with rich examples.
We hope these vivid illustrations help you feel confident using almond, artichoke, bean sprouts, beetroot, and braise in your everyday conversations and cooking adventures.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Join us next time for more vocabulary insights.
Goodbye and happy learning.